This is Edward Seidel, a German businessman. He served as the managing director of Siemens Nigerian operations and oversaw its communication division from 1985. He spent most of his career at Siemens and rose through the rank, taking over Nigerian communication division in 1985. And the same year, he opened his first Credit Suisse account. By 1991, he was familiar with the highs and the most influential, especially in the political industry. Now, the reason is because over the course of 2 decades, he had wined and dined with military rulers, presidents from successive regimes in Nigeria. He had visited weddings, attended social events, birthday ceremonies of top influential figures in Nigeria, and also he has gifted them things like Rolex wristwatches, Garter watches, as well as outright cash. He was particularly a frequent visitor to the office of the Nigerian state-owned telecommunication company, Nitel, at that particular time. He was allowed access to bid for contracts of other contractors, and in most cases, he even determined the specifications of this particular contract. Now, over the years, he had helped Siemens bribe its way to 4 Nigerian telecommunication contracts, each worth $130 million, and made a profit of about $4.5 million in each contract. And so were some of his co-workers that were working at Siemens, not only in Nigeria, but outside the country as well. In fact, it was discovered that the company staff has handed over around $1.4 billion in bribe in Nigeria, Russia, China, in order to win contracts, and has netted about $1.1 billion over a couple of 2 decades. Now, it was also discovered that he opened about 6 different Credit Suisse bank accounts and has stashed over 54.5 million Swiss francs currency, which is about $4.9 million. 5 of these accounts were opened in the late 80s and in the late 90s, when he was at the height of his influence and power in the Nigerian economic space. In 2002, Nigeria began to investigate Siemens for $1.34 billion bribery incident, which has lasted for 2 decades. He had bribed Nigeria officials in order to win contracts for Siemens. In fact, he claimed that his predecessor taught him how to win contracts in Nigeria using bribes, which accounted for up to 15 to 30% of every contract he had won from Nigeria. And at that time, foreign bribes were legal in Germany. In fact, Germany was actually taxing people for any money they get from foreign bribes in other countries around the world. 5 former Nigerian ministers and other senior officers were named as recipients of about 10 million euros, which is $14.6 million in bribe, which were received from Siemens according to a ruling of a German court. The Speaker of Nigerian House of Assembly was forced to also step down after she was found to have improperly awarded contract worth about $5 million for the renovation of her official residence and that of her deputy. And it is not only that, 5 former governors in Nigeria, 3 former government ministers, top government officials were all linked to the Siemens bribery scandal and embezzlement, and they were under investigation by EFCC, even though several of these ministers and top government officials denied taking this particular bribe from Siemens Nigeria Limited. Now, as a result of the investigation, the Nigerian newly appointed president at that time, President Bribery, who just came into power, cancelled all existing contracts Nigeria had with Siemens and suspended dealing with the company into Siemens' case of $14.5 million worth of bribe that has been handed to several government officials over the past 2 decades. The Nigerian government even vowed not to have any dealings with Siemens Nigeria Limited until the investigation is concluded and the company is exonerated or prosecuted for the offenses that it has been alleged to have committed. It was estimated that over the first 2 decades of Siemens operation in Nigeria, it has paid about $14 million in bribes to Nigerian government and top officials alone as part of its efforts to secure lucrative contracts in Nigeria, according to Germany and US investigation. Soon after, the office of the Attorney General of Federation of Nigeria vowed to vigorously pursue a case against Siemens. It will stop at nothing to ensure that the German company is brought to book and is brought to account for all the bribes and the scandal it was facing at that particular time. Sensing that the Nigerian government was bent on prosecuting them, officials of the company swiftly approached the office of Attorney General of the Federation at that time and requested for a plea bargaining to pay an amount of $7 billion with the condition that the company will maintain good corporate behavior henceforth in order to avoid being prosecuted in Nigeria. In 2008, Seidel, who was the managing director of Siemen Nigeria and was alleged to have given bribes to a lot of Nigerian officials, was convicted in Germany as part of Siemens bribery scandal investigation. He received a 2-year suspension prison sentence and was fined 108,000 euros for his role in orchestrating bribes to Nigerian officials, Russia, and several parts of the world. During the investigation, he admitted to participating in a systemic scheme of bribery, which Siemens executive refers to as useful expenditures. The bribes were paid in order to secure contracts not only in Nigeria but in several other countries across the world. Although the Nigerian Economic Financial Crime Commission (EFCC) issued a warrant against Seidel in order to prosecute him in Nigeria for the crimes he had committed, but he failed to appear in court or come to Nigeria, and he was declared a fugitive to Nigeria authorities. Despite efforts by Nigerian authorities, Seidel was never extradited to Nigeria to face the crimes that he was alleged to have committed. Despite the markings of Siemens bribery scandal in Nigeria, no top Nigerian officials was prosecuted for collecting bribes from Siemens. While investigations were launched, officials were named. Most of the government officials who were alleged to have been bribed by Siemens still work freely till this present day. Now, several officials in these several government ministries have been alleged to have been involved in Siemens bribery scandal. It included the presidency, the Ministry of Power and Steel, the Nigerian Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, the Nigerian National Assembly, the Ministry of Interior, the Bureau of Public Enterprise, the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, the National Communication and Commission (NCC), and lastly, the Federal Executive Council have all been involved in the allegation where Siemens had to bribe an official of each of these ministries in order to gain a contract and win award contracts. But now, what do you think about this case? And do you think EFCC needs to reopen this case in order to prosecute those that have been alleged to have taken bribe from Siemens? Let me see what you think in the comment below, and do make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel.